Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Today on CityCast Boise, backpacking sounds beautiful, challenging, and overwhelming. I enjoy camping, but I've never really seen the appeal of carrying everything on my back and giving up campsite luxuries. So I'm talking with someone who loves it to see what I've been missing and if they can convince me to give it a shot. It's Wednesday, July 30th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Today, I'm talking with Blake Hunter, our Hey Boise newsletter editor, and they're here to try and convince me that I should try backpacking this summer. I'm skeptical, but I believe that they could change my mind. So thanks so much for being here today, Blake.
Hey, Lindsay. I'm also skeptical, to be honest, but I'm excited to try.
I believe in you. You've convinced me about things before. I think you could convince me. But before you get into that Herculean task, I wanted to take a second to remind everyone about our brand new launch of CityCast Boise Neighbors. You can join for just $10 a month at membership.citycast.fm. And from the decisions being made at City Hall and the Capitol to how our communities are fighting or not fighting to make sure that everyone is welcome, and finding out that contrary to urban legend, the local swinger hotspot isn't actually Hidden Springs, it's in Meridian. I love digging into these stories that aren't being discussed in other places and making sure that our listeners have access to them and have information about these issues that really affect us.
Yeah, we love talking about a range of things, like you said, both in the Hey Boise newsletter and here on the show. Today, I'm talking to you about backpacking, and other days we talk about focaccia, and sometimes we talk about fascism. So we're glad that listeners and readers want to support us. Shout out to these new members, Sarah P., Carrie R., Bridget H., Greg M., Amy B., and Bruce T., which you have a note from Bruce T. that you wanted to share, which was really funny.
Did you see Bruce T.'s message? We get a little Slack message every time someone joins and they tell us why they joined. And these are my favorite things that I read every day. Bruce T. said, "Love your podcast and all the great local news and its ability to inform my wife and me. In our 80s and loving the Treasure Valley, almost 3 years here after blank years in a state that will not be named. Haha, don't tell anyone." Don't worry, Bruce. I didn't tell anyone at all. And we're so glad you're here. Your support ensures that we get to continue connecting you to news and information that inspires you or engages you. And so please join at membership.citycast.fm. Okay, Blake, the spotlight's on you now. Just to start off, what do you love about backpacking? Paint a picture for me about why you love it.
For sure. I'm going to, I know my audience here, which is, of course, all the CityCast Boise listeners, but particularly it's you right now. And so I'm going to paint a picture of your phone not having service and you not having to check anything and you not having to check social media or anything like that. I think that that is probably the number one thing that I love about backpacking, is that it's just a built-in time to disconnect from work. I mean, there's no excuse. Like, I feel like it's so easy to feel like you have to check in about work or so many different things in life, and you kind of don't have an excuse to not be doing any of those things. But when you're backpacking, you do, because you literally just don't have service. And you get to do that you get to disconnect in some of the most beautiful places in the world. I mean, I'm going to kind of pitch you the Sawtooth, because I know that that's a place that's near and dear to your heart throughout the show. And so, I mean, you're doing it in the Sawtooth. I think that is kind of reason enough. And once you've tried it, I feel like you may not absolutely fall in love with it, but you'll at least understand some of that allure of it.
Okay, no, we can just wrap it up. I'm completely disconnected and no one can reach me. I'm sold.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought that would help. Yeah.
I literally just had a conversation where I was like, I want to go hide somewhere, throw my phone into the river, and not talk to anyone for a week. I'm sold. I'm done. We did it. Let's wrap it up, everybody.
No,
Good
for
job,
real.
Blake. You did it.
Thank you. I can understand how, like, when you have kids, like, there's, you do want to keep track of them. So I understand that there's some obligations you can't completely disconnect to. So just bring them with you.
Perfect. I love it. No, I'm already sold. Okay. I love that aspect of it, but there are some more functional details that I am worried about. The disconnecting, I'm sold on that. But there are other things that, just strategy wise, I'm concerned about. But before I dive into all of those, can you tell me about your favorite backpacking trip and what made it so great, or where you do enjoy going backpacking?
Ooh, yeah. Okay. I've had a lot of really good ones over the years. My entire family is really into backpacking, and all of them more so than I am. Like, they are kind of the experts, and I often get to tag along. And usually, if we're in the last town at the edge of the wilderness, quote unquote wilderness, and it's like somebody has to run to CVS to grab something, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be me. But I think that some of my favorite places that I've gone outside of Idaho, I want to mention the Wallowas, which are actually pretty close. Like, if you've driven to La Grande or Baker City, like off to the right and to like the north, you see these big mountains. There's some incredible backpacking spots in there. And then also last year for my birthday, I took a trip to the Wind Rivers in Wyoming, and it was absolutely stunning. Most of my backpacking trips have been in the Sawtooth, though. And so I want to shout out that as just being one of the best places to go. I grew up going to the Sawtooth. I didn't do a ton of backpacking as a kid, just because wrangling 3 kids, I think, is a lot for my parents, and also getting time off and whatnot. But now that I have time of my own, I can do like overnight trips into the Sawtooth, which a lot of Idahoans and a lot of Boiseans do.
It does sound appealing, but I am what I like to call lightly outdoorsy. So I am concerned about my maybe outdoorsiness abilities. Is backpacking accessible for people who aren't hardcore outdoor enthusiasts? Or like, I didn't grow up with a family that backpacked, so I haven't had it like modeled for me.
Yeah.
Is this something I could still feasibly do?
Totally. I hear you. I think we're going to get into gear a little bit. That is the biggest question, and just actually carrying that amount of weight on your back is like, I'd be being irresponsible if I didn't say like that is hard. Like, that can be really difficult, especially if you're not used to that kind of pressure on your body. And it can be hard. However, I think that oftentimes when the quote unquote lightly outdoorsy, such as yourself, think about backpacking, they, think of these really intimidating like North Face and Patagonia ads,
Yes.
or like influencers who are going on these crazy trips. And I mean, these people are like borderline professional athletes that you're watching. And just because you are not a professional athlete does not mean that you can't camp overnight in the woods and carry everything that you need there. So like, yes, backpacking is serious. It can be difficult, and like there are like present dangers to be mindful of, and we'll get into those. But my favorite thing about backpacking with like different people is like with my family, we usually go pretty hard. I'm going this weekend, we're doing like an 18-mile route with just like one overnight. It's going to be like pretty intense. But earlier this year, I went on a trip with a friend where we did like a total of, I think, 8 miles over 2 nights. And so it was like, we were just like in the middle day, we were just like camping out at a lake, at Alpine Lake in the Sawtooth. And so like, you actually don't have to go that hard if you don't want to. If you like reading in a hammock, looking over a lake, you can do that for an entire day because you're an adult. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go that hard if you don't want to.
I was going to say, Instagram has been influencing me against this, where I'm watching everyone, they're like, we hiked 57 miles today. I'm like, I just can't. That's
no, girl,
not
do what
in
you
my
want
wheelhouse.
to.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
So, okay, now I have to ask you, because I really enjoy camping. We go car camping as a family. I love it. But I mean, part of when I'm honest with myself, what I do love about it is I have a sleeping cot. I have a little like swinging hammock chair that I got from Costco. That's my favorite thing. I have a cooler. Like, so what would I get from a backpacking experience that I'm not getting from a car camping experience? Because camping is already like a fair amount of work, and this does sound like it would be more work. So is there something about being disconnected that proportionately adds to the experience for the work that I'll be putting in?
Yeah, I think so. I think for one, backpacking actually isn't that much more work than like packing up all of the stuff for car camping. In fact, you need to pack less because you have to carry it all with you. So yes, you don't have your sleeping cot. You can't, like, carry a whole Yeti cooler, whatever. But that means you actually have to pack and carry less. You have to be a little bit more methodical in how you put together your pack and, making sure that the weight is well distributed and okay. But that can actually, you can kind of gamify that. That can actually be really pretty fun, which I think that's the other thing about backpacking is like your first trip, if you go really hard and do like, if you're not used to hiking that much and you do like a 12-mile route, you're not going to enjoy yourself like in brand new hiking boots. Like it's going to be horrible. You're going to have blisters. You're going to hate it. You're going to never want to put on a backpack again. But when you're actually packing together, you don't have to do that much more work. And in some ways, you actually have to do less work. You just have to carry everything that you want to come with you. And so I totally hear you in like that there are like some of those creature comforts. But I think the hammock chair that you mentioned is a really good example. Like I always bring my hammock camping. I don't usually sleep in my hammock, but I love having that extra option. It feels like a bougie little like comfort that I brought just for myself, and it's super light and you can just attach it to the outside of your pack. And so that's the kind of example that I would say is like you get a lot of the same things with car camping. And the biggest thing, maybe, you're going to be around a lot less people. Like car camping, you have to listen to other people's generators or other people's cars or people pulling in and their headlights flashing through your tent. You don't deal with any of that backpacking.
I really appreciate that answer because I do think that part of what I think about with backpacking is like super roughing it, and you're just like the bare bones. You're living off the land and only what you can carry. And so having a little perspective of like, bring a hammock. Like this isn't, you're not torturing yourself. This is
totally
a leisure experience. I think, another way I've maybe been influenced by social media that it's like, we aren't doing like Naked and Alone out there. Or Naked and Afraid, whatever that show is. Where
some people are, I'm not. And I don't think you should either.
I don't know. No, if I can go the rest of my life and not doing that, that's the goal. That's the plan. So no, a hammock and being able to have some of those leisure luxuries would make it much more of a fun experience for me. Hey, it's your host, Lindsay, dropping in to tell you about CityCast Boise Neighbors, our new membership program. We're calling it CityCast Neighbors because we've met our listeners and you're the kind of people who care about this city, want to know what's going on, and how to make it a better place. You're the neighbors we need. And we're offering some pretty great benefits, too. CityCast Boise Neighbors will have access to ad-free podcast episodes, a weekly email with our picks of the best things to do around Boise, and exclusive invites to members-only events. Plus, you'll get the chance to shout out your favorite business or nonprofit on our show and in our Hey Boise newsletter. For $10 a month, you can become a CityCast Boise neighbor. Join today at membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. Your support keeps the show going strong, and we're so excited for you to be joining us on this journey. Thanks, Boise.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Listeners have been hearing me talk a lot about the CityCast Boise neighbor perks for the podcast. But Blake, while I have you here, what are some exclusive benefits that members can get from the Hey Boise newsletter?
Yeah, I'll be collaborating on pretty much all of the perks. But I'll also be writing and sending one additional email per week. So this is now 6 emails that I'm sending per week. And this one is exclusive to CityCast Boise neighbors. Something that readers often tell us is that they find out about these really cool events that should have been marketed directly to them after they've come and gone, and that they just want to hear about events further in advance, which I totally get because you need to plan your life like at least a week in advance if you're like an active member of the community. So on Mondays, I will be sending a list of curated events to check out that will cover the entire next week in advance. I've been curating Hey Boise's events for the past 3 years, which is kind of crazy. And I'm always looking for new ones, but I do think that I've got a pretty good angle on what's worth going to for a wide range of folks and their interests. And one of our new members, Bridget, agrees. She wrote this really kind note to us. She said, I've lived in Boise, or at least the Treasure Valley, my entire life of 30 years, and I've never come across a better way to find fun and meaningful things happening in my community. When folks ask what to do while they're in town, I go straight to my email and find my latest CityCast blast, which is Hey Boise. And whether they know it or not, dozens of people in my life have done fun things because CityCast Boise has told me about it. So thank you for your kind words, Bridget. And I'm just really glad that we've been able to help you find some fun things to do around town. And now you can find out a little bit further in advance.
Well, and listeners, don't let that Monday email go unread. Blake works so hard on this and makes such an amazing curated list of events. This will be a fantastic email to get. Yeah, if you've ever said, I wish I'd known that was happening, which I think that's the Boise experience. Everybody says that. Let's change that. Let's not make that the Boise experience anymore. Let's make sure we get tons of reach on Blake's Monday email. And if you're sitting there thinking, how have I gone this long in my life and never been a founder or founded anything? We are here to help you out with that. You can become a founding CityCast Boise neighbor this week for only $10 a month. Just go to membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. We do not want Blake's email to go unread. It deserves to have tons of reach. Okay, Blake, I'm not convinced all the way, but I'm not convinced. But I just noticed a note on our prep document that now I'm concerned or confused about. I wanted to ask you about a piece of gear that makes backpacking easier for you. And your first answer is buff. And I know I'm a little person. I'm a bit petite, but is that your way of telling me I need to bulk up if I'm going to do this?
Yeah, I've got a 12-week program for you before your first backpacking thing. No, Buff is actually a company. It's like basically a small, lightweight scarf that you just put around your neck, and it's just like for some reason a very comforting thing when you're backpacking, and particularly when it gets really hot. I like to get a Buff wet, like in a lake or a creek or whatever, and then put it around your neck. I'm not telling you that you need to work out before going backpacking.
Kind of personal, just like, Blake.
Yeah, I know.
It's a call out.
No, this is just one of the many things that one of the many like little pieces of gear or like treats or hacks that I've found over the years that like kind of propel you through a backpacking trip. Because I'm not gonna lie, like there's always a point in a backpacking trip for me that I'm like, okay, I'm ready to be done. Like there's usually multiple a day, actually, if I'm being so for real. But like there's a lot of little things that I found over the years that really like help me just be glad that I'm there. One of the big things that like when you're up in the mountains, like you just become grateful for so many little things. Like for me, one of the biggest things is like candy, like having some sort of hard candy that you like, or even like a chewy candy, whatever, that you just enjoy. And like I cannot tell you how hard it's going to hit in the mountains when you're backpacking, and when it's like 2 p.m. and you're like trying to scramble down something and it's like harder than you think. Like a Jolly Rancher will go so hard in the mountains. And that is just like truly one of I know you asked for pieces of gear that makes things easier, but for me, it's like keeping your spirits up with like little things like that. I think like finding an electrolyte drink that is just like really yummy to you and putting it in a separate water bottle that just stays really cold in your pack, that then you can pull out when you like need it most to like really pull you through. Also, I if you like alcohol at all, like having just like a little vial of whiskey or like gin or anything else that you partake in, that can really propel you through a backpacking trip. It's saved me many a time. So those are some of the things. I think finding the little things, like the little pleasures that you will appreciate so much when you're in the wilderness, but you take them for granted in your daily life. Those are the things that like make backpacking really joyful to me.
Okay, Blake, this is not how I thought this conversation was going to go at all. I thought this
Yeah,
was going to
let's
be
go.
really
Let's go.
hardcore. I thought this was going to be way more involved, but so far you're pitching me like solitude, little snacks, yummy
Yeah.
drinks,
Mhm.
and, a little pick me up during the journey. Like, that's a list of my favorite things. And just
No, I
take
know.
it in the wilderness. Like,
I'm telling you. Yeah.
okay, now that you've listed my favorite things, how does someone get the gear they need to get started backpacking? Because I know I can go to like REI and they'll be like, here's $1,000 worth of stuff you need to make sure you don't, get lost or, die or have the worst weekend of your life. But if I don't have that money or I don't want to go buy all brand new stuff, how can I do this like functionally?
Yeah, this is a really good question. This is like the reason that I wanted to have this conversation actually, and I interviewed Alex Cravener from the Idaho Trails Association. Shout out to them; they're doing amazing work. And this was one of the questions that I asked her specifically, and she pointed out a lot of the things that I also go to: the Outdoor Gear Exchange in Boise, Facebook Marketplace. I was with a friend who he just found a really, really nice pack for super cheap at a thrift store. And so this is the kind of thing that like, yes, you do need the right kind of gear. You do need to make sure that all your bases are covered for backpacking, but you do not have to go spend hundreds of dollars because you can. Like if you wanted to really max out, you could spend literally $1,000 easily on like one backpacking weekend, but you totally don't need to. I think that one thing that I would really pay attention to is like your sleep. Like don't compromise on your sleep. Make sure that you have a really good sleeping bag that you're comfortable with and a sleeping pad to go under it. That is a non-compromise for me. But I think everything else you can kind of piece together over time. And especially for your first time, don't go out and spend too much money. And also borrow stuff. Like if you have friends, I would actually recommend for you, Lindsay, if like for a first timer, don't go alone. Like ask a friend
absolutely
who,
not.
Yeah, no, ask someone who's experienced and to go with you, and then ask if you can borrow some of their gear, and they will I'm pretty sure they'll say yes. So that's another really good way to go about that.
Okay. And then Blake, for myself, I'm a chronic overthinker. What do people overthink or overpack? What have you learned to leave behind that don't pack this, just stick to the essentials? Yeah,
Lindsay, as soon as I figure out an answer to this, I'll get back to you. I am such an overpacker. Typically, it's really of clothes. I love to bring so many more clothes than I will ever possibly need. And the thing about backpacking is like you're probably going to have to wear something twice, or you will be a little bit dirty. You will be a little bit sweaty. You can jump in a lake if you need to. So I think that this is a tough one. I'm unfortunately just the wrong person to ask about it. But you probably don't need as many clothes as you think you do. That's the only recommendation I can give on that.
Okay. And then how do you deal with water? Because knowing that I have to carry all the water I need or I have to trust a water filter honestly does make me kind of anxious. So what is a way to manage that, or how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, you just have to bring some sort of purifier. The CDC, when I asked Alex Cravener from the Idaho Trails Association, she sent me this link, this diagram that is actually super helpful. That's for water treatment, and it's just all of the different options and what each of the options do. So whether they take care of bacteria and viruses, parasites, like that kind of thing, it's really helpful. So we can link that in the show notes. But I think that just know that if you get a good purifier and you know how to use it, yes, it can be, I totally understand. It can be a little harrowing. It can be a little anxiety producing to just be like, well, I'm just trusting this thing to clean my water that I have to live on.
I don't want to go to the ER.
I get it. But also at the same time, like typically, obviously be very careful, like use these purification and treatment techniques. Also, mountain water is going to be so much safer than any other water that you're going to find around, like especially like snow melt. So, I mean, use these treatments and we'll link to that in the show notes.
Okay. So listeners are going to think like I actually did want to do this. I told Blake before the show, I was like, good luck, buddy. Like,
yeah, I had low hopes.
I was like, this is, you can pitch some gear and it'll be a hard no from me. But I am lightly considering it. So what would be a starter friendly trip that, maybe is this, clearly a step up from car camping, but I'm not going to like at the end of the weekend be like, okay, well, that was a terrible choice. And I let myself be swept up in the moment.
Yeah, I think that go somewhere in the Sawtooth. There are so many different lakes that are pretty easily accessible within like the 6 to 10 mile hiking range. I would recommend Alpine. I did that in May. It was really snowy, but it would be perfect now. And here's what I think you should do. I think if you can go in during the week, that's even better. I understand that that's probably not always possible, but avoiding crowds is always nice. So go up to Stanley in the morning, try to get up there fairly early, go to the Stanley Baking Company, get yourself an amazing breakfast, one of the best in the state, in my opinion. And then get to a trailhead, go up Iron Creek to the trailhead there, park there, and then just take your time. Like, you don't need to rush. Just take your time going up, enjoy the beautiful scenery, see what there is to see, and then just camp at the lake and come down the next day. I think that is a really good beginner trip for you.
That does sound really doable. Okay.
It is.
Any last minute tricks or tips or anything somebody should know if they are also curious, but also maybe a little intimidated still?
Yeah. This is just like anything outdoors or anything really, period. Like, I mean, like floating the river. I was like talking to a friend this weekend and she was like, yeah, it's just like stay away from the edges, like go in the middle, follow where other people are going. Like, it's just, if you know the risks that you're going into and just take it leisurely, take your time, then you're going to be great. I think that this is, like you said, like there's so many influencers that make backpacking look so huge and so scary. And it can be if you're being irresponsible or if you run into wildlife. I also wrote about that and how to approach like bears, especially in Idaho. I know that that's a concern, but I think that it really is not as scary as it's made out to be. And you're an adult. You can guide this process as much as you want to do whatever you want to. You can bring whatever kind of candy that you want to. Just hang it up in your bear bag at night.
Blake, thank you so much. Again, I'm a little shocked by how much
oh my God, I did it.
know.
I did it.
I could maybe do this. I think I kind of want to do this.
You live in Idaho. You have to.
I know.
That's my opinion. You have to. Yeah.
I kind of feel like I have to. I feel slightly obligated, but in a good way. I'm like, wait, why haven't I done this yet? So thank you so much. This, again, I'm befuddled by my own reaction. You do a great job marketing backpacking, making it feel accessible. And thank you so much for explaining it.
Yeah, I hope you have so much fun and keep me posted. I'll be happy to review your checklist before you go.
Oh, thank you. That would actually be such a relief. You have no idea. And I want to give a big thanks to everyone who has joined CityCast Boise Neighbors so far. We are so grateful for your support. And if you've been on the fence, remember, we're offering an exclusive tote bag to members who join this week only for just $10 a month. I don't want you to miss out on it. Become a CityCast Boise neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm. That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, that's a great reason to become one of our founding members for just $10 a month. We'll be back tomorrow morning with our guide to August in the Treasure Valley. You won't want to miss it.